Yes, I can hear you as well. Akofa, can you hear me? Unmute
Yeah, I can
yourself
hear
and
you
respond,
too.
please.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Good. We are good to go. We have 74 participants. Good afternoon to every one of you. You are most welcome to, I think, the first edition of our monthly virtual seminars that we do have. I think it's appropriate to wish each and every one of us a happy new year, though belated, but I think it's improper. As usual, today we are going to have an interesting topic, which is of importance to all of us. And with the brief introduction, our Deputy Chief Executive will give us an opening remark, and I'll introduce our guest. What are we looking at today? We are looking at what happens in the cyberspace. We are looking at specifically the social media, its implications for mental health, what we as parents and as educators, what we need to do. That is the topic. This topic is of immense relevance, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, the social media has become a place that most of our youth are using it for education, for communication, for fun, for entertainment, for innovation. And the COVID pandemic also made it more, has even made it more popular. But on the other side of it, there are negative things happening still in the cyberspace. There is access to violent and sexual content. There is inappropriate and illegal activities going on, cyber fraud, sexting, online gaming, which is related to addiction and all that. I wouldn't take the juice out of my facilitators, so I would end here. I would ask Dr. Emisa to give us the welcome remarks. After that, I would share our housekeeping rules. Then we can get into the program for today. So over to you, Dr. Emisa.
Thank you very much, Dr. Arthur, and good afternoon to all our listeners. Maybe then you welcome me once again, even though Dr. Arthur welcomed you. This is the first in the series of our seminars for this year. For me, the topic having is really interesting as mental health. We encounter some among our adolescents and the youth. So we are looking at the topic of social media, cyberbullying, and mental health. What educators and parents basically want to enhance knowledge about what cyberbullying is, and then present strategies of dealing with some of these when we encounter it. So basically, we would want to educate ourselves on how to assist, be able to identify ourselves or assist others to identify potential cyberbullying activities. So somebody may be conversing with you and listening to the line of conversation, you may come to understand that, well, what is happening to your ward or your child or whoever mimics cyberbullying. If you have to look more into it, or once we've learned about the strategies here, you can also go further to assist them do that. So we want to identify some of these activities. We want to understand how they impact negatively on us or even as children. We've mentioned that it usually affects adolescents and youth. That's the age group that are usually found to be in this space, that they can be cyberbullying. We want to, like I said, mention strategies, what kind of strategies will work within our social media network. And we also have professionals here to help us to deal with it when you identify these things. What can you do? Because it can lead to loneliness, it can lead to depressive symptoms, there can be anger or anxiety sometimes. It can even affect your self-esteem. So like Dr. Arthur has said, we have seasoned professionals here, resource persons, to help us to discuss it. So I will encourage all of us to be attentive, listen in well, and be able to contribute. Let's share and learn, and then as usual, promote our mental health. So thank you, and I wish you a fruitful discussion. I wish us fruitful discussion this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Emisa, for your welcome address. So ladies and gentlemen, by way of housekeeping, as usual, let's keep our microphones on the mute. It's only when we get to the question time that I would unmute you. We are still discussing mental health, and examples will come around. You may want to make a comment, you may want to ask a question. Please be sensitive in those remarks and comments that you want to make. And during the question time, be as clear, straight to the point, and as brief as possible. And I think that we can really digest the issue well and have enough to hear. We have professionals, seasoned people who understand the issue at hand. We as parents and educators, yes, we underestimate the issue of cyberspace, and we're only thinking about the good side. But when you look at the negative side, how much do we know? What we need to do? Today is the day that we can learn something about cyberbullying, things that we've overlooked and we've taken it for granted. That's the import of today's exercise. With me to do this discussion is our own Professor Akwesiose. He's the Chief Executive Officer of the Mental Health Authority, as well as Mrs. Akofa Akpanya Hlovo, Esquire, a lawyer. She is our Head of Rights and Quality Division at the Mental Health Authority. I also have Dr. May Cullen Wolf Caesar. She's also a clinical psychologist with Equilence Counseling Services. She's also an educationist, so her experiences will come to bear in this issue. We have the technology expert too with us, Mr. Prince Kwesi Odro, who would also give us the technological aspect of this issue, what we can do. So realize that, ladies and gentlemen, we have the psychologist who tell us the impact on mental health. We have the lawyer who will give us what we need to do when it comes to law, defending our rights and all that. And we have the technology man to tell us what we can do. So please keep your text comments coming in. You can as well write down your questions. I'll note them down as the program goes on. I'll read your comments and we'll share them with the rest of the participants. So my facilitators, are you there? Ms. Akofa, are you there? Let me hear your voice.
Yes. Yes, I'm
good
here.
Good. Dr. May, are you there?
Yes, doctor, I'm here.
Good one. Nice to see you. Prof, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. Good afternoon to everybody.
Good to hear your voice. Prince, can you hear me? Please unmute yourself.
Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon to everybody.
Good. My facilitators are all ready to move. All right, so let's get into the issue. The technology man, Prince, you would
Yeah.
open the floor for us. What is cyberbullying? And how do people use technology to perpetrate cyberbullying? This is a two-in-one question. Explain briefly what is cyberbullying and how people use technology to perpetrate the cyberbullying.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dr. Atta, for giving me this opportunity to share my ideas and my technological, experience on how to deal with cyberbullying. So briefly, when we say cyberbullying is where, one uses the social media or any technology messaging platform to harass or demean a person's persona, or in a way of trying to tarnish an image of a person through social media. So that's briefly what cyberbullying means, because the word cyber comes from the internet. Cyber means something worldwide, something online. That is the cyber. So bullying, as in you harassing people, makes it cyberbullying, using the internet to do that. And also, briefly, how do people use technology to bully people or to, harass people? In technological terms, we have something called frapping. Something we call frapping. Frapping is in a way of, we can put it in other words called anonymous or anonymity, where you anonymously send profane messages to people, or you create a fake account in name of a different person just to harass people. These are some of the ways people use the social media platforms to harass people. And also other ways too are where, these, how do we put it? These adolescents or young people who are usually sometimes in relationships, have sexual content being posted online just in the name of revenge or to get to the other partner. These are so many ways they are using technology to bully people, and it's causing a lot of mental issues. So this is briefly how people use the social media, platform to bully people.
All right. Thank you very much, Prince, for that explanation. So from your experience, do you find a common trend in the underlying causes of cyberbullying?
Okay. Currently, I wouldn't say there is a specific trend that people always go to or use in cyberbullying. But then technology has grown to a point where people are generating money out of technology. And then they do things that can, bring traffic on their social media pages. So anything at all they can do, whether sharing nude pictures of, these young kids, or any form of, things, that content that people will, traffic lies on their pages. That's what they share. But then they don't realize the impact and then the effect it takes on the victims whom they are doing that to. Because social media is a platform where you get to see your victim. You don't get to see what your victim is going through. All you know is that you post whatever you like, and how the person feels, you will never know it. So far as you're making money out of it, that is what you care. So these are the things that are happening. We don't have specific trends that would say, specifically, this is what people do to cyberbully people. Anything at all that, makes somebody okay to do, that's what they do. And it causes harm to people mental, health. And it's very bad.
All right, good one. Thank you. I see, Dr. May, I see you smiling there when you mentioned mental health. All right. Dr. May, take it over. We know that cyberbullying impacts on our mental health, even as adults or children or the adolescents. How does it impact on us? What are the implications therein? Mental health across board. Give us that overview. And what are the common signs and effects of these?
Thanks, Dr. Arthur. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. The impact is not only on the recipient of the cyberbullying. It impacts and affects the families of the bullied and the bully, as well as the society, even the school that this cyberbullied individual attends. Because the cyberbullying causes distress, causes different kinds of distress symptoms. We know anxiety about what's coming next. Prince talked about how it starts. Yes, it can start quite innocently. A comment made by a friend about someone's clothing, someone's style of dress. And then it picks up from there. Someone might say something negative, and then it continues. Now the individual on the receiving end becomes anxious about what's happening. So then they can't sleep. They become very, very depressed. And some may even start acting out. Now, when you are a parent and you see your child acting out, maybe a very docile child starts becoming very aggressive, it's worrying. You don't know what's going on. You may make a report to the school teacher, especially when you see that the child's grades are going down. So we can see here that when there's anxiety that the bullied person is experiencing, it's bound to affect their grades, their school performance. They'll get called before the headmistress. they might get chastised in some way. They'll come home, parents will respond to that in terms of you didn't do well, and then it continues. So we have anxiety that can lead to depression simply because somebody posted a negative comment on social media. And then again, because Prince talked about technology, it's not just on your phone. It will happen on your laptop. It will happen everywhere. So when that comment starts, let's say in school, there's no way of stopping it because it'll appear somewhere else. And then someone else will pick up and run with it. So now we see how we have that cycle. And that cycle will cause, beyond anxiety, may cause sleeplessness, may cause loss of weight in the child because they may not be eating, especially when we are dealing with teenagers whose self-perception is so poor. We talked about self-esteem. Dr. Mensah mentioned self-esteem. Yes, it's usually very low. So then when something negative like this comes on social media, where people can see and believe what they are seeing, then of course the impact on this individual is very bad, and by extension, their parents and their school teachers. So it's not just about the person who received the message, it's about the people in that individual's social circle. The distress will continue.
Wow. So we are not dealing with a very simple matter here. A simple statement that harasses one person goes around to affect the family, affects the school, affects the individual school performance, affects family relationship and all that.
Yes.
Wow, that's kind of heavy. So from your experience, Dr. May, what level of severity of this cyberbullying has come to your attention?
Sadly, I've had cases of attempted suicide. In fact, in one,
wow.
Yes, very recently I was called in to speak to this young girl who had attempted to take her own life, and it was only after the parents pushed it to the school that we got to the bottom of it. And it started by an innocent comment on Telegram. Now, a lot of students use Telegram these days. They have assignments and things that they discuss over Telegram. So we know that it's beneficial. But at the same time, it allows for the perpetration of cyberbullying. You see, so in this case, Prince mentioned sexting. Yes, one girl started receiving the sex messages, and then a friend jumped in to her rescue and he got involved. And then after that, it just blew out of proportion. The next thing we knew, there were nude pictures. Now this girl is trying so hard to keep her parents from seeing what is going on. There's nobody to talk to. And Prince mentioned also that you can't retaliate, because the more you try to defend yourself, the wider you open yourself to more of such behavior from other people. So then the person who is at the receiving end is caught in a web they can't get out of. And the last thing is, maybe let me just kill myself and then this will end. So currently I'm actually helping another young person to deal with the after effects of cyberbullying. It's very close to my heart because these individuals were so innocent. They were just caught up in somebody's malicious thought processes and behaviors, And then if you're a parent and you know that your child is distressed, how are you also going to relax? How are you going to sleep when you come upon your child who has attempted to take her life? This is not a nice thing at all for any parent.
At all. Even when they are feeling distressed, it is not a nice thing, to the point of wanting to take their lives as a result of cyberbullying.
Yes.
Well, I think that we need to jump straight into the strategies we can do, how we can identify these things. I mean, we need to work around it, because for me, it can happen anywhere at any time. anytime, any place, anywhere. And unfortunately, we have less knowledge about how some of these things work. When you have a problem with your phone, it's your adolescent son or daughter that you call to fix it for you. And so they are more technologically inclined. But on the other side, this is what they are also experiencing. It's a bit frightening when you really think about it. It's a bit frightening. But Dr. May, so that what are some of the signs, warning signs that for me as a parent, if my daughter or son is experiencing cyberbullying, or even he is perpetrating it, what are some of the signs that will give me an idea that this thing is going on, so I need to up my game? So give me from both sides, from being a victim and being the bully.
Yes. See, so for me, the first thing is how that child is handling the phone. If that child is keeping the phone away from a parent, chances are there's something going on that they know will be distressing. You know, most kids in school are not allowed by their parents to take a phone to school. You know, so when the cyberbullying starts this way, they don't know how to tell the parents that you forbade me from using the phone, but I did. I went behind you. Number two, the social media platforms are the modern child's way of communicating. You see, our time, we went out to play with our friends. If they bullied us, we came home. We have bruises. Our parents would see, you know, and sometimes
we learn to do street fighting.
You know, even our parents would tell you, why did you allow this person to beat you? Beat him some, you know. So there was evidence that we were being bullied, even if we had started it, you know. But today, it's not like that. It's cyberspace. So when you see that your child is keeping the phone very close to their chest, that is, if they come home and they're allowed to use the phone, fair enough. I have a problem with parents who also allow their kids to have the phones after a certain time. I've said this many times that after 9, take your child's phone away. If your child would not tell you what their password is, and this is one of the things also that parents have got to know. When your child will not tell you what their password is, this is the time for you to tell them that you have to know because of the dangers of cyberbullying. So your child is keeping the phone away from you, or your child is refusing to go to school using some pretext they're not too well. I mentioned earlier that their grades may start to drop. They may start getting into trouble with peers at school. You know, this is for both the bullied and the bully. You know, so when you hit somebody in the playground and of course the teacher sees it, you may get punished. Why is your child constantly getting punished or made to stay home after school? Find out, what did the child do? They may tell you a story because they want to get out of it, but probe. Find out from the teachers. If the teachers are not there by the close of the day, go there the next day. So again, if your child is acting out, refusing to go to school, they're either being bullied or they're bullying somebody else's child. You also find that they're losing weight. They're not eating very well. They're not communicating very well. They're moody. You know, if it's about the grades, again, parents, we are at fault sometimes. Your child's grades are dropping. And then all you will say is, you're constantly on your phone. You're constantly on your phone, you know, making the child feel even worse. They're not likely to tell you that something is going on the same phone. They are looking at their phones to see what else somebody has posted. We talked about the addiction to these things too. It's so difficult for children to get off using their phones, even when they are being cyberbullied. You know, somebody says something nasty, you would think that the first thing they would do would be to get off, leave that platform. But because of the addiction to social media, they will sit there and wait to see what else somebody will say. You know, so that is why they'll keep the phone next to them, even when it's a source of distress. So when you see those things, again, explore some more. Your child is not doing well, even at home with their siblings. It has become withdrawn. Find out what is going on. So for parents and educators both, every time you see that a child who was lively is suddenly becoming withdrawn, moody, will not interact with the peers much, and then it's not performing well, suddenly there may be cyberbullying going on.
Good. What about being the bully?
Again,
It's the same thing, right?
It's the same thing. You see, the bully may actually be engaging in what we call displacement. In psychology, this is where you somebody on the receiving end of abuse, whether physical or verbal, may turn their anger or aggression on a less threatening recipient. So if at home the father is physically abusive and the mother is verbally abusive and they cannot retaliate, then they can go onto social media and vent, displace their anger, their frustration, their sadness onto somebody else. Prince mentioned anonymity of cyberbullying, so then you can go and give it to anybody you want, pick on somebody, and then displace your anger on them. So that child who is also, or that teen who is also cyberbullying is in need of help. They need to understand that you can't do that. It's not appropriate. Bearing in mind that this is what they've known, this is their nature, this is what their environment has taught them, that you can pick on somebody and make their lives miserable. So then the person who is being bullied needs help in coming to terms with what has happened, knowing that they can move on. It is true that many people have heard all kinds of horror stories about them or even seen nude pictures about them, but that is not the end of the world. And then the person who perpetuates this also needs help in understanding that that is not how we relate with other people. So both the bullied and the bully need attention. Immediately it comes to our notice that this is going on. We just don't want to penalize the bully and say, go on with your life. That bully became a bully for a reason.
And it might have started from the home.
Exactly. It
might have started from the home.
And you are going to see the signs also. You will see the aggression also. The bully may take it out on their own siblings. So if you are parents seeing this, bear in mind that if they can hit their siblings, they can do it in school as well, physically. And if they can't do it physically because they'll be punished, if they have the means to, go on social media, then social media becomes their outlet of aggression.
And they have the whole world to do that, the whole cyberspace to do that, and they can attack anybody. Wow. For me, for the victim, keeping their phones all to themselves, even the password secrecy is what even frightens me. For a kid to have a password on his phone, I don't want you to see it. I think that is a strong indication that there is something going on this phone that I need to know. Therefore, as a parent and as an educator, I need to work at it.
Yeah.
Dr. May, let's go into a step further. So
Okay.
as a parent, what can I do? What I need to do when I suspect that this thing is going on? As a parent, as an educator, what do I need to do?
Okay. So as a parent, you need to make your child understand that you are there to offer support. Whether they started it, whether they played a part in what's going on and now, they're receiving what they don't want. That child has to know that you're supportive. I remember years ago, my daughter came home and I saw at once she wasn't very happy. She didn't want to talk, but I followed her into the room and I realized she was crying. And then it turned out that she was being bullied. Today, when you hear about what was upsetting her, we might laugh. She didn't want to hear the F word. So she'll kill me when she knows I'm telling the story. But the F word was anathema to her. And because she couldn't even say the word to me, and her friends found out. So whenever she would pass by, they would just use the F word, and then I realized, no, we have to do something about it. These kids were enjoying seeing somebody in distress. they need help, because anybody who enjoys that has a problem, So parents have to be aware. These days we are so busy. We come home from work.
Research children who are developing sadistic behaviors.
Yes, and it's starting very, very early. This was in primary school, and they were enjoying it, seeing somebody in distress. So if your child also comes home and all you can think about is that they did something wrong, they are not likely to tell you. So that child has to know that you will listen. You will listen, even if you have your own ideas about what's going on, put that aside and listen to your child. Assure the child that we are going to work on this together. It is wrong to bully somebody, and it's wrong to be bullied. This is not the time to be saying, I told you not to use your phone. I told you not to go on this side. No, we have to be supportive. We also have to, again, recognize that the phone or the laptop, much as they use it for school, can also be what is going to destroy them. So we must be aware. Children of today, they will give you a password so that you can go and check. Most of them have another one that you don't know about. I have found this.
I'll leave that one to the technology guy to tell us much about that one.
So if you don't develop this rapport with your child where you can discuss things freely, tell them about your youth, even some of the mistakes you made, so that they can open up to you, and then involve the teachers. If this is going on in the school, you are not there as a parent, but the teacher is. Let the teacher also know that my child says this, and we don't want it to be like a stigmatizing sort of thing for the child. It's more for the whole class, for the whole school to know that this is wrong. So assure your child that even if it does come out that you have been bullied, we'll all be here to support you. That's the important thing, the support. And then, of course, if it has gone to the point of where the child is suicidal, you need to seek professional help in bringing your child back.
So I am thinking that, Dr. May, so your relationship with your adolescent son or daughter is the crux of the matter, because it is at that point when that relationship is strong, that is when he or she can openly tell you what is going on. But if it's a question and answer sort of thing, dictator kind of thing in the house, obviously they'll find it hard. Well, they need a phone, you've provided, that's it. You go to work, you leave them, you come late, weekends, you are off and all that. That bond is not there for them to openly tell you what is going on. So I guess that for we as parents too, we need to start establishing that bond with them so that they will be open to us, isn't it?
Yes, we need to also educate ourselves on what's going on in the social media world. We think that we are beyond that. This is for the young people, but these young people will grow up to become adults who will continue to bully, So it's something that we have to look at. So be informed, educate yourself. What is going on in the cyber world? I mean, I found out what trolls and things like this mean from my kids, that somebody is trolling or there's a troll. What are these things? How do you get onto these handles or platforms? Don't say that I am not tech savvy, so I'll leave my child to it. Engage them, let them tell you what's going on in their lives. And then once in a while, because we know this happens in schools, happens everywhere, drop the word in, bullying, talk about it. If you're afraid to use the word bully, try something else. Engage your child bit by bit. They will open up. If you talk about when you were in school, there was this boy or this girl who was constantly harassing you, they will understand that you know what you are talking about. And that is when they might open up and say, it's happening to me. But you don't want to wait till you hear all these horror stories of this child committed suicide or this teenager attempted to kill themselves. What did you tell your child about your growing up, about the bullying you experienced or what you did and the effects? When our kids know that, oh, this is nothing new. The only difference is that it's happening on a wider scale. The only difference is that other people have access to you. But how to defend themselves, how to recognize that it's about to start. This is not the time to say stand up for yourself. No, it isn't. Because you can't stand up against somebody you can't see. You can't stand up against 500 people, you know. So that's where you bring your child closer to you, assure them that we'll fight this together.
So it's not even about even changing schools, because even if you change schools, it's still continuous. They can still
might even make it worse.
They might even make it worse.
Yes.
All right. So the parents, we as parents need to do much more better with dealing with this thing. I have a few comments here. Let's see. Jonas, these are serious matters here. Please, where can we have recorded versions for my kids, others who may benefit? Okay, Jonas, I'll talk about it later on. Juliet, I'm really enjoying this. Dr. May's contribution, kudos to her. Patricia Bando, such programs should be more. Patricia, I've been doing this program since last year. And so we'll hope to God that we can still continue, and we will. Such programs should be more. It is going to help to advocate to others restrained from unpleasant acts. Yeah, that's true. Kwesi, great talk, Dr. Caesar. This was wonderful and insightful. All right, Prince, you are the technological expert. As parents, what technological strategies can we adopt in dealing with cyberbullying?
Thank you so much, Dr. Atta.
Yeah. Can you raise up your voice a bit?
Thank you so much, Dr. Atta. Okay, so as parents, as Dr. May said earlier, that we should, get used to the technological world. We should get to know how these things work, especially with the Facebook, the Twitter, all these social media platforms. You should get to know how it works. Even if you don't know how it works, you should create, a rapport between you and how it works. Get to know them, So there are other measures you can take where we have this privacy settings on our phones and our social media accounts, where you can set your child or your world's social media accounts to child lock or child mode, where any sort of unusual or, let me say, bad or filthy words that would affect your child's well-being, it will be blocked automatically. These social media platforms have built security levels for all accounts. So it depends on how you want to use your social media account. So far as you are a parent, you have to be concerned about what your child consumes or the content they consume. So you have to set these measures on their phones. And we have so many app locks which you can use to secure your child's phone. And as Dr. Lee said earlier, that you should get to know their passwords, get to have time with them to look at their phones, what they do with their phones. You shouldn't let them, have control of everything themselves. You should use the way they want the phones to be used. It wouldn't help that way. So that's a few measures we have to take. And also, few research I did, phones. Kids do not, about 70 to 80% kids do not turn their phones off. And then, as so far as the mobile phone is in your pocket, the internet is with you 24/7. So whether or not you take their phones away from them at night, or let's say at 8, before they go to bed, early in the morning or in the afternoons, the phones are still with them. So far as the internet is everywhere, they will be bullied still. So this is where you put measures on their internet use, where we have the internet checks, access control. This is within technological world where you have access control on the internet they use, the content they search, the text, they have received on their phones on lock mode, where any form of cursing words that comes through their internet on their phone will be blocked. So these are things parents have to go through to learn, or to have a professional teach them, so they can help build their well-being. These are measures you can take to do that.
Wow, thank you, Prince. So more or less, another school for parents, technological school for parents.
Exactly.
We need to learn what's going on in the cyberspace. We need to know. In actual fact, I also got to know of one thing, that these kids know about certain apps that they get installed on their phone. So that a mom wants to see their phone, they give it to you, you look at it. Because of that app on their phone, you open it and you don't see anything. When they want to see what is on their phone, they know how to do it. So in addition to what you said, we as parents, you need to be mindful of the kind of apps. You need to know what this app is for, what this app is for, what this app is for. My goodness, that's hard work, Dr.
And
May.
Dr. Atta, I can give you a few examples of these apps. Normally, we have a few apps listed. Yeah, we have the app locker. We have app locker where you can hide every content on your phone with a password, which anybody at all can go through their phone and wouldn't see a word, even not any picture on your phone. But then the app lock is secure to the extent that they can hide it behind the app, which it backs up into their emails with the password. So with or without the password, you can have access to all these informations on the app. So you have the phone, go through it, and it will be useless to you. You feel your child is doing the right thing, but behind the secured part of the phone, your child has a lot of information there that you can never even think about. So we have the app lock, we have the bit locker on the laptops where they can hide information on. So any parent can just go on their world's laptop and type in bit locker. You will see there's a lock on your child's laptop, and you can require for the password and know what is there. So we have the bit locker on the laptops, and then we have the app locker on the phones. Any phone, iPhones, Android phone, Windows phone, they have all these apps on it to hide information from anybody who they don't want to share their privacy with.
So that Prince,
yes,
this is the issue. If your word is too secretive with his or her phone, that raises suspicion, and you need to dig deeper, just like Dr. Mason.
Exactly.
I think that's it. Because if you have so much passwords, you have to go into messages, there's a password. You have to go to photos, there's a password. You have to go to videos, there's a password. There's app locks. There is a lot of apps on the phone. I mean, these are ringing bells that we as parents and educators, if there is an issue you have to deal among students, you need to know that there is something wrong. That's a good one. I did not get who sent this one. It said the best for their children, nothing, I repeat, nothing replace spending quality time with the kids and family, getting to know your kids away from social media. We need to spend quality time with us, but the hustles of current times makes that difficult, but we need to make that effort. Thank you very much. Let me bring in the legal experts and let's hear what she has to say. Madam Akofa, are you there? Please unmute yourself if you can hear me.
Yes, I'm here.
Good. So let me ask one straightforward question. What protection does the law give to internet users in Ghana broadly before we come to cyberbullying?
Okay. Thank you very much. And I appreciate the earlier presenters for their work. In fact, they have laid the case bare for us to take something out of it and guide our homes. I would like to say that protection of internet users, electronic gadgets, and everything that has to do with the storage, processing, and forwarding of information is an emerging area of the law in Africa. And in 2018 and 2019, the African Union discussed the issue and had some 2 protocols that were signed, and Ghana also signed these protocols, the Malabo Protocol and then the Budapest Convention. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear. Go ahead.
All right, so the COVID-19 pandemic increased our usage and internet services. What the case is that Ghana also signed these conventions and has ratified it in Parliament. So following that, the Act 1038, Cybersecurity Act, was passed. And generally, this protects all persons, including children, who use the internet, who use gadgets, who store information, the national information storage, organization information, and then individual or personal information. So anybody who has any information that is personal or that has something to do with national security, or as I said earlier, national security information, is all protected under the National Cybersecurity Act of 2020. And this is new because since COVID, we have had cases of people being bullied, people being trolled, people being harassed, and indecent videos, pictures, messages have been circulated on social media and on the internet. But then the question is, has somebody taken this issue to court to get redressed? So today we are going into this issue.
Network challenge.
To know the rights of us as individuals and
Madam Akofa, can you please,
as organizations and nation as a whole, when our rights are infringed.
Please, Madam Akofa, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yes, I can hear you. We missed your last comment. Your very last comment that you made. Yes.
Yes, so what I'm saying is that today the discussion, I will lay bare the rights of individuals, the rights of organizations, and the nation as a whole, so that in case of any infringement, what options are available to you, and so that we can all live up to expectation to stop the harassment, to stop the trolling, and then the cyber stalking that is going on. Thank you.
Okay, so let me add in my next question to narrow it down to what we are discussing. So what procedures are in place to report cyberbullying? What procedures are in place? Okay.
The Act established the cyber authority, the cyber security authority, and they are functioning very well since they started work. So any case of cyberbullying, you may call directly into their national line. The numbers are online. When you search for National Cybersecurity Authority and the Cybersecurity Reporting Center, you'll get the phone lines over there, and then you can use that. The other option is that sometimes the bullying is such that it may be physical, or it's something that if action is not taken as early as possible, the victim can be harmed. So I advise that this can be reported quickly to the police. They have been trained, they have been resourced to cater for all this. Another option also is to seek psychological support. Some of this bullying, as Dr. May mentioned, can lead to a lot of psychological trauma and all that. So you need to seek support whilst you engage all the other procedures. The final option, I believe, is to engage a lawyer, because the Act provides for the court to order the authority to take down an information or a forbidden information that has been put on the internet. So the lawyer will just apply to court and the case is called and heard. And if what you are alleging is actually the fact, the court will order the cybersecurity to block it, to take it down, or to filter it. And this does not stop you also from suing the person or the individual or organization for damages. The law will also punish them. There are a lot of penalties that has been stated in the law, ranging from a fine of 2,500 penalty units to 5,000 penalty units. And sometimes you are even in prison up to 15 years. The less imprisonment is between 1 to 3 years. So there are all these options available for us. It depends on your case. If somebody is threatening you or calls you to tell you that if you don't give me money, I will harm you, or send, a lot of death messages being sent to people nowadays because, for example, they are in a position where somebody's wrongdoing is about to be exposed. You have to report it to the police. And the judicial system, the court system, the police, and all enforcement agencies have been resourced to take these issues up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me read a few comments. One just, I can't get the name right. It says, Dr. Atta, please, no challenges of modern living or material. Oh my goodness, I missed. He specifically was saying that our daily life should not replace the quality time we need to spend with our children. I agree with you. Kingsley also says, as Prince said, parents must always have parental control set up on their children's phone or tablet. Cynthia Kwe, yes, parenting is serious business, a full-time job. You will need more grace for adolescents. You just can't stay ignorant, but educate yourselves as we are doing. My suggestion is to get, well, my suggestion is to get them young phones for ages below 16 years. I'm tempted to agree with you, but that's also another thing. Sika, you do have a point. However, remember, adolescents will associate more with their friends than parents in this era. They will definitely be on social media, definitely be. But we, as educated, as parents, we need to up our game to deal with the situation, to match them. We have psychological ways to do it, we have technological ways, and we have the legal way to do it. Prof, please, are you there? Hello,
yes,
Prof.
I'm here. Yes, I'm here.
Very good. Good. Let me ask you this, Prof. Let me read what I've written. Studies suggest that students or adolescents are less likely to report that they have participated in cyberbullying if they think that their children, their school will take it seriously, such as punishment. If they think that there will be punishment, they would not, they are less likely to report. Considering our environment in terms of sizes of schools, the neighborhoods, and all that, do we have the capacity to take strong actions to deal with this phenomenon?
Yes, I think we certainly have the capacity and we should act on it. There was a time there was a banter between some schools and Ghana Education Service. The Ghana Education Service, well, the other way around, whichever. I think the schools decided that students, SHS students, could not take their phones to schools. And indeed, they did seize them. And I think I'm not too sure which of them, but one of the bodies decided that they can't take the phones to schools, and the other body said, I think on the basis of somebody challenging them, that yes, they should allow them to use it because they will use it for various studies and whatnot. I think we should be able to insist. Indeed, up to JHS, I would even recommend that don't give them phones at all. Up to JHS, don't give them phones at all. SHS, they will need it, but they can't take it to school. When they come home, then they could use it for various things. But then the various control measures should be put in place. So we should be able to put our foot down as a society and as parents and say, this is how we want things to go. Let me say that it is what I'll call helper killer. I mean, the phones and the digital space, they are helper killers. They help us, but at the same time, they kill us. So ours is to be able to find the middle way, the balance way, to make sure we derive the maximum benefit without endangering ourselves to its negatives. And these are some of the things that are being discussed. So yes, we should be able to put our foot down. Let me also say that cyberbullying is not always, okay, let me put it the other way around. It does not always start as a cyberbullying. It does not always. Sometimes it merely starts as a joke. So the perpetrator thinks it's a joke to the victim. And if the victim then sees it as something hurtful or something hurting and reacts, and as it was said earlier by one of the speakers, students or youth derive satisfaction from hurting the other. Instead of deriving sympathy, they derive satisfaction. So he starts with a joke. The joke hurts you, and then he's happy that, oh, he's been able to arouse something or create something that hurts you, and it continues. So my point is that jokes, it may start as jokes, but we need to watch out to see what it could well turn out. The other point I want to make is that some people, some of the those who are chatting are saying that, well, just spend quality time with your kid. Very true. But let's also understand that that is not enough. So you need to put all these things together. You are spending quality time, you go out or the child goes out and then something comes in. And remember, no matter the time you spend, children or adolescents learn a lot more outside than even from home. So you need to recognize that aspect. So yes, quality time, and part of the quality time is to strengthen them, give them the assertive skills by which they will be able to recognize that this is not good for me, so I will stand it and I will not allow it to affect me. That is very important. If they don't have that assertive skills, those assertive skills, then these things can affect them. But the last point I want to say is that it is also not everybody who will necessarily be affected by cyberbullying. In other words, who are those at risk and who are those who stand it? So again, where there is no predisposition and you have been able to give them the assertive skills through quality time, then they are likely to be able to ignore cyberbullying. But where they are predisposed, or what did I say? Yes, where they are not predisposed, and you've given them the quality time and the assertive skills training, then they are likely to be able to stand cyberbullying. But where they have a certain predisposition, by predisposition, I mean that maybe by their own background, their own predisposition makes them liable to get some mental health problems, they have that predisposition. And you've also not given them the skills training, you've not given them the quality training, the quality time, then any such cyberbullying comes in, such a child is more likely to succumb than the other child. So it's a complexity of factors we need to recognize and see how we can put them all together and support our children. These are very important, our youth, our adolescents. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief. So for me, with what you said, what I can say for me that we can't take anything for granted. We need to have a complete mix of all the little things
Precisely.
that we can teach them, all the little things that we can do as parents, as educators, to get them to be able to deal with this thing. Fantastic. Let me ask you another question, Chief, before I let you rest. I've also written that.
Go ahead.
Okay. The lack of reporting cyberbullying to an adult can be associated with concerns about losing social media privileges, whereby you take away their phones and all that, losing their privacy, and doubts that adults can not effectively deal with the cyberbullying. When they doubt that you cannot deal effectively with the issue at hand, they will lose their privacy and all that, their privileges, they will not tell you. They find it difficult reporting. What can parents and educators do to make them comfortable to report being cyberbullied or even discussing the subject matter?
Yeah, it's very important. Once the child loses confidence in you, no matter the lessons you want to impart to the child, he may not take it. So it's important that we develop the trust and build the confidence. I'm looking at it from home to start with. It's important that we develop the trust and confidence in the children. That yes, you may have done something. I think one of the speakers said it. You may have done something wrong. It does not mean I am disowning you or I'm chastising you. I will only look at that and use that as a basis to correct you further, so that every mistake becomes a learning opportunity. Once the child has that understanding that my mother, my father is not going to skin me alive because of what I did, then the person is likely to go ahead to discuss, to make full disclosures. As has been said earlier, often they hide it because of the fear of consequences. One of the consequences could be that you will take my privilege away from me. Another consequence might be that you may scold me, you may skin me alive, all those things. But once we get the child to understand that that is none of the above, so to speak, but that I will lovingly take it as an opportunity for a learning experience. In the same way, teachers will also need to recognize that you will need to see how you can build the confidence and trust in the children or in our youth. Once they have that confidence, they will sit down with you and be able to tell you a lot. And sometimes you also will need to bring it up yourself as a question. I mean, so create a scenario that under such circumstances, what would you do? And that will give them the confidence that, oh, my parents are already aware of such a phenomenon, so I can open up. So as somebody said earlier, I think the course of the time, that parenting is it's a complete industry that you need to appreciate. Incidentally, nobody trains you, nobody teaches you how to parent. These are things you learn on the job, but we need to appreciate that these are things that we need to incorporate into our training. Let me also quickly say that it does not mean that if a parent has his or her child going wayward, blame the parent. No, there are extraneous factors. So if a parent happens to have a child with this situation, nobody's blaming you, because that blame is also important. You made the parent feel that, it's my fault. It may not be your fault at all. You may have done the best, but extraneous factors may have come in to break down the child's knowledge and all that. So we need to understand both ways. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. That is quite insightful. We need to bring up the scenarios even before it happens so that we can create that opportunity to have that discussion. I have a few comments here. Let me see. From Kwekwas and Subrebu, great insights, Prince. The message here is for parents to create that kind of relationship with their children, such that children share information with parents. But parents need to be abreast with modern technological trends. Practice with your children, and they will teach you. Okay. Atefo Akwabna, nice presentation, Prince. You have really enlightened some of us on the new updates of technology. Good one. Emmanuel Ayi, our society also make it difficult for people who are victims to come out because of the fear of being tagged. Well, just like Prof said, we need to bring out the issues, create that relationship with them, make them comfortable for them to be able to talk about it. The impact is on the family as well as the school and all that. And we as parents, the job is on us. Cynthia says, Prof, thank you. We hope assertive skills training is part of the new curriculum for schools. Many parents need help. Esther, the mental state of our children should be effectively worked on to detect its progress on a daily basis. Emotional needs of children must be taken as an emergency and giving adequate attention from infancy. Merely, as teachers and parents, it is important to let your adolescents and students know that you have been where they are. That's good. By telling them stories of what you've been through so that they'll know that this is not a one-time thing. This is not only their time that they are experiencing it. Our time, it was you learn how to street fight and you come home, you don't tell your mommy and dad. You fight and lives to fight another day. By this time, we have cyberbullying and it happens anywhere. Our time just happens in school within the area, so you can deal with it. All right, so I think we are on course and we've learned quite, it has been very insightful. Let me get to Akofa, Madam Lawyer. I think Prof did mention that, but let me have your take on this. Some schools have regulations on the use of smartphones by students. Could there, as a lawyer from your perspective, could there be a legislation or policy to empower schools to help them to address cyberbullying? How effective can these policies be? Akofa, are you there? Hello, Akofa, are you there? Okay, May, let me ask you the final question, then I'll allow our participants to also come in to ask their questions. May, as parents and educators, in what simple ways can we enhance positive mental health of our children so that they will be able to build resilience towards cyberbullying?
Okay, so I'd like to start first with educators. We teach children we teach them about ITC, for instance. So let's say from, I think it's JHS 1 or class 6, we introduce them to technology, information technology. I would suggest that this is the time to also introduce the topic of cyberbullying. It goes with it, so that they know that as they engage in technology, they engage with technology, this is the downside. And when it does happen, it is okay to report it so that the children are well aware. It doesn't come as a shock to them. So this is what I'd like educators to start with. And then periodically to talk about bullying, encourage people to bring in their stories, sometimes in a fun way, so that it becomes normal, natural. For instance, the case I mentioned, it ended up in the police station. It ended up with lawyers coming in. So as Akofa said, yes, there is a legal way to go about it, and we should do that. But then if we talk more about it in terms of there are people out there who engage in these things, sometimes out of boredom. So it isn't something we should hide. You know what I mean? And then they are free to talk about it when it happens. Another thing that we should mention is that it doesn't always start with somebody who doesn't like you. It can actually start from your friend. And because you want to belong to a group, and this is another member of that group, it's very difficult to report it. Because my friend did it. Because even after the friend has come online and said some things about you, end of the day, you're going to still go out and play, So again, we need to recognize that our friends can do this to us. It is wrong because it causes distress if we do not limit what we are doing. So sometimes it's just normal ribbing that students have, for one another, but we should recognize we don't all have the same strengths. And Prof mentioned, some people are more resilient than others. And this is where parents come in. If you know that your child has a tendency or is predisposed, as Prof said, to anxiety, then you spend more time on building their coping resources. Already before your child started school, they may have cried, they may have resisted going to school, and so if something happens in school, they may tell you or they won't tell you. This is the time to hone in their coping skills. Tell them that it's okay, laugh about it. If it's difficult for you to laugh about it, when you come home, tell me and we'll laugh about it. But I'm assuring you that I would deal with it. I want you to go to school. I want you to have a good education. I want you to enjoy your schooling. And whatever it takes, I'll be there for you. Assure your child that even as they go to school to learn, they are going to face some stuff that's not so pleasant. It's all part of growing up. And where you can't handle it, I'll be there with you. Once this child has this assurance, they see that it happens. Okay, mom said it would happen, daddy said it would happen, but hey, I can handle it.
All right. Well, that's a good one. Prof, are you there? Would you like to add something to that? Since we are talking about positive mental health.
Well, I think a lot has been said, and often we tend to think youth don't have their mental health needs. They all have their mental health needs. What may be a major issue for you may not be a major issue for the child, but that becomes very important. I think Mary said it earlier when her daughter received the F word. I mean, you as an adult, you receive an F word, what does it matter to you? You can just brush it off and move on. The child does not have the experience of standing to that and may feel affected. So if you, as parents and teachers, everybody, we recognize that children have their mental health needs and we begin to address them as they are children, and as they grow up, we vary the nature of the education we give. It will help them a lot because then they will have the coping skills, as May mentioned. That becomes very important. You remember, you'll not be there with them every time, but they should have that basic minimum skill with which they will be able to withstand issues that come their way. And then, of course, they come home and they bring specific issues. You take advantage and give further education. So these are things that I think parents should recognize. But often, parents are ourselves not exactly knowledgeable in these matters. So we need to continue to engage ourselves in these matters to increase our knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. We really, really need to increase our knowledge. This is how to even provide assertive skills, how to learn the technology and all that. We really need to do that. Let me ask, I think Madam Akofa is on the line now. Let me ask her that question that I asked earlier on. Madam Akofa, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Good, good. I asked that some schools have regulations on the use of smartphones by students. Could there be a legislation or policy to empower all schools to help them to address cyberbullying? How effective can this policy be?
Yes. Thank you so much for the question. But before we even talk about the policy,
I think Akofa has a network challenge.
Yes, I think so. I think she has network issues, and that's worrying. Before, let's see if she'll come back on. Dr. May, somebody asked how he can help his son get over addiction to phone. Is there a way out?
Yes, there is. There is.
Okay.
And I think Prince mentioned that there are some things we can put in place. But the first and foremost, the addiction to social media, and this affects even adults. What do we get out of being on social media? We have friends out there. Is it because we feel that, we can communicate more with people online than in person? What is it about social media? Why is it so addictive? Are we contributors on social media? So when we lay all these things out, somebody mentioned earlier that we can't get teenagers off an addiction, but we can, just as we do with drugs and alcohol and pornography and all kinds of things. There are ways of getting young people off the phone. Not totally, but make them understand or help them to understand why they are using the phone that way. Is it filling a need? You know, so then you're going to be limiting their use of social media to just a few platforms at certain times, so that they don't feel like you've taken everything away from them, because there are things happening out there that they find on social media. They still want to be part of what's going on out there with young people, you know. So then you can give them the same time. When we're kids, we're allowed to watch TV for a couple of hours. We can do the same with the phones. That way, when you're educating your child on the benefits of social media, you do that along with the demerits of social media, so that they know when to go on, when to go off. If you see that somebody is being attacked, somebody is being trolled, this is not the time for you to be staying on, trying to figure out what's going to happen next. This is the time for you to come off, because the next time it will be your turn, or you may be learning the wrong skills, learning how to also go after somebody. So when you limit how much time they spend on social media, when you limit exactly what they are watching on social media, it's not everything that you want to deprive them of. Otherwise, they are going to feel attacked. And when they feel that way, you're going to lose out. So it's a little bit like getting people off drug addiction, a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time, make them see the need. You may need to get in professional help also to do this.
All right, thank you very much, May. Prince, I have a question for you from Patricia. Patricia is asking, Prince, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hello, Prince. Good. Patricia is asking, can my watch phone be connected to my phone so that I see what he does in my absence?
Okay. So with that, it depends on the kind of watch phone she's using. And also, you can do that. It's possible to connect your watch phone to your child's phone, personal phone. But then, depending on the distance between you and your child, where the phone, the main source of the phone your child is using is, that is where you will receive messages that he or she receives at the same time. But then it's possible to do that. Yes, there are applications where you can, install on your child's phone and connect it to your watch phone to receive every message he or she receives. It's possible to do that. So I think you have to get the watch app. It's on every platform. We have the Android and then the iPhones. They have the watch app, which you can install on your child's phone, scan it with your watch phone, and then receive every message your child receives. But then it deals with the Bluetooth connection. It deals with Bluetooth. So the moment you are separated from your child, with a distance, it disconnects. So you wouldn't receive any messages anymore. But in the moment your child is home and he or she is closer to you, you start receiving the messages he or she receives. So it's possible. You can do that.
Okay, thank you very much. So distance is the barrier here. All right, I think that at this point, okay, another question from Patience. Prof, Patience is asking a question. Please, Prof, my child does not fear any consequence or punishment he may receive from. Any punishment you give him as a result of misbehavior, he could only tell you, I don't care. What does it mean?
As I said earlier, if you administer too high doses of punishment, the child gets immune to it. So he can tell you point blank, you can do your worst. I saw a recent video which was really interesting. A man, the child was just riding on the man's vehicle, and the man initially got angry and scolded the child. So the child looked at him, and then the next time he did it, This time he was looking at him while riding on the vehicle. So the man realized he needed to change his approach of educating or of letting the child know that that was not what he should do. So next time he came, the child was writing on it. He said, "Oh, boy, you are now a grown-up, and grown-up people should not be doing this. When you were a baby, you could have done that, but now you're grown up, so don't do that." The boy immediately stopped. The point is that your approach, if you have used a certain approach, that makes the child immune to the punishment. No matter what you do, the child will not respond. And that's why we need to find a compromise, a certain balance between punishing, and the punishment should not be in the form of simply giving a penalty, but in the spirit of educating the child for him to know or her to know that she can do it differently. So my point here is that change the approach. Change the approach and vary it, and maybe give it something instead of making the child lose something or suffer inflictment or punishment. Maybe probably what you have been giving the child, that if he does something positive, give a token. So this is yeah, will make the child know that, oh, if I don't do that way and I do it this way, I get a token for that. So just vary the way that you'll be using to punish the child.
Thank you very much. So Patience, there you have it, Prof. From Prof. Vary your strategies there. Okay, I guess yes, she's on. Let's try it again. Our lawyer is back on. Let's try it again. Madam Akofa, can you hear me? Hello, Madam Akofa, can you hear me?
Well, Dr. Arthur, whilst we are waiting for Akofa, I think somebody asked the question that is it only cyberbullying that will make a child withdraw? Definitely no.
Withdraw or timid? Yes.
Or withdraw or become timid?
Oh,
definitely
please,
no.
Please respond for me.
Yeah, so definitely no. There are many reasons why a child may withdraw, may become timid. Indeed, sometimes the child's behavior may in fact be a reflection of what is going on at home. Between the parents, amongst the parents themselves, if there is no harmony, the child can react that way by withdrawing, by becoming timid, by bedwetting, various ways. And that's why we say children are a barometer of what happens at home. So when a child puts up a certain behavior, maybe the first question might be, shall we go do some introspection and examine your lives and the marital harmony, whether there is not something in the family at home that is pushing the child to do that way. And of course, then other considerations, variously, child not doing well, being bullied at home, or being bullied, cyberbullying, various approaches. Then this, in fact, even menarche, in the case of ladies, menarche, the first onset of menses, can even push a child into this is what we call menarche blues. So there are various approaches, and it's important we don't fix our mind. You don't get fixated on any one thing and say that is what is causing that. But a significant point I also want to make here is that if your child begins to show up different behaviors or unwanted behaviors, and then you go through your checklist to see what could be what is happening, and you still can't put a finger on the cause, then put your mind on a possibility of cyberbullying, and you may get a clue. It may help you there. So consider all possibilities, all factors. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Dr. May, Alina is asking a question here. She's saying, what do we do when the child is spending too much time on computer games?
It's the same as spending too much time on their phone. You are saying computer games. So again, I will not stop a child from playing a game on their computer, but I've often used the game as a reward. One game as a reward for studying if they have to use the computer. You know, so if the game is something that they can't stop, then you tell them there's a condition. Each game goes with a study. you know, for me, that has worked. But taking everything away from them may cause them to rebel, may cause them to find some other way of playing the games. But when we try with limiting, somebody mentioned desensitization. Yes, a little bit at a time. That, okay, we can't do this. In the first place, how did that child become so addicted to the games? How much time was the child spending in front of the computer? So that's where, as parents, again, we fall short. We allow our children to spend so much time, and then when they do what they're not supposed to do, we become very worried. So then we start to take them away a little at a time. But I found that coupling a desired behavior with an undesirable one works well for some parents. So the child wants to play a game, fair enough. I'm not saying don't play a game, but you're going to do this first. You will find that the number of hours spent playing the game will start to reduce.
All right, that's a good point. Madam Akaf, can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
The question says, some schools have regulations on the use of platforms by students. Would there be a legislation or a policy to empower all schools to help them to address cyberbullying? How effective can these policies be?
Thank you so much, and we apologize for the delay. I had to relocate, and thanks to the technical team for assisting me. Yes, before I go to the policy and its effectiveness, permit me to go through quickly a section of offenses that the Act puts for all of us to be aware. First of all, indecent image or photograph of a child. Indecent image or photograph of a child. The law prohibits deposition, taking, or you permit another person to take an indecent image of a child. And when we are talking about a child here, a child is somebody who is below 18 years. And it doesn't end there. The law also takes somebody who appears to be a child to be a child. So you are taking a photograph, an indecent photograph of a person, and you, in your opinion, that person looks like a child, then the law is covering you. The law prohibits publication of such images, whether they are in video form, audio form, as a recording, picture, etc. Whatever information it can be for you to publish, and for a child's nudity or indecent picture to come to light, the law prohibits that. We also talk about dealing with a child for purpose of sexual abuse. So section 63 specifically provides that a person shall not use any device capable of electronic data storage or transmission, for example, computer or internet service or local bulletin board services, to lure a child into any dealing that will portray sexual or indecent conduct. And the law also prohibits a person who owns an internet operating system, for example, these cyber cafes and computer centers, from aiding and abetting a person to take or publish any of such images. When you do that, you are liable under the law. Then cyber stalking. Quickly, I would like to go through the operative words of cyber stalking. The use of a computer online service, an internet service, or a local internet bulletin board, or any other electronic device to compile, transmit. Let's pay attention to the words: compile, transmit, publish, reproduce, buy, sell, receive, exchange, or disseminate the name, telephone number, electronic mail address, residence address, physical description, characteristics, or any other identifying information on a child in furtherance of an effort to arrange a meeting with the child for the purpose of engaging in sexual intercourse, sexually explicit conduct, or unlawful sexual activity. So, for example, I am an internet operative, and people come to me to browse and pay. Technically, I am supposed to have a system of monitoring what goes on in my shop or in my cafe. So whoever comes, for example, may come to load an image and contact a child online to engage in a sexual conduct or an explicit conduct with the child. Such a person is prohibited from allowing these things to go on in your cafe. For the cafe owner and the person who shares or publishes the image are both liable. Let's look at sexual extortion. There are lots of people nowadays who are calling people and threatening them. The mere threat that if you don't engage in sexual activity with me, I have an information about you I will publish. This the law abhors. The mere threat is an offense, and when the activity or the threat is carried out, it increases your liability. The non-consensual sharing of intimate image. For example, you have been in a relationship with somebody and the relationship has gone south. So the person has nude pictures of you. Sometimes they call it love online. You call each other video call and you expose yourselves. And the other end, the person may take pictures of you, you are not aware. But when the relationship is no longer sweet, the person may threaten you. If you don't continue this relationship, I will expose your nudity to the whole world. This is an offense. And anybody who has this issue should quickly contact the police. So you see, sometimes you share information and the content does not move. I indicated earlier that the court can order the authority to stop the sharing of such an image. So we must all be on our guard and act quickly to save ourselves from this kind of damages. So now to the policy. When the law was passed, the National Cybersecurity Authority put in place a national policy. And I believe that the issue of phone use in the second cycle or junior schools is a cause for concern. And I believe that it has its own advantages and disadvantages. And when the authority engages every stakeholder, I believe that a policy can be put in place to regulate the use of phones. Every stakeholder, I mean parents, teachers, heads of institutions, I mean, name them. Anybody who has any issue, education ministry, they all need to come together. For that is the only way we can have an effective policy. Parents, first of all, need to engage their children at home, educate them, counsel them. For training starts from the home. When we counsel our children as to what the internet can do, I believe that when these issues are raised in school, they will be willing to offer whatever support they need to offer. And they must be counseled, educated on these advantages for their education and the disadvantages where they may even get into the hands of murderers who may invite them out of school and just harm them. So I believe that when a policy is drafted and is published and we all accept it, it will be easy to work with. This is better than the authority, I mean the cybersecurity authority, just imposing something on the schools. For involving the teachers and the grassroots, the children also be represented in this policy drafting, all concerns will be noted and a well-accepted policy will come out for everybody to accept and work with. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Kofa. I think that it's quite clear that all stakeholders in the development of the policy to regulate phone use in the institutions should be part in this policy, so that each and everyone can make an input, so that acceptance would be key, and that will make it effective in implementing. Thank you very much. We are out of time by 8 minutes. Prof, we have the permission to go on for about 15 minutes. Well, I have one question here for Prince. Prince, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Please raise your voice a bit.
Yes, I can. I can hear you.
Okay. The question is, Prince, don't you think that with time, teenagers may uninstall any app on their phones that they didn't install? If you agree with me, is there any other alternatives which to monitor usage of phones by our children?
Okay. On the first place, your child even on installing the app to monitor phone should raise a flag to you that there's a problem. So that alone should let you know your child is trying to, hide few things from you. So you have to be cautioned and you have to take that serious. And besides that, depending on the monitoring, the exact thing you want to monitor on the phone. Do you want to monitor your child's messages? Do you want to monitor, videos and pictures your child have on their phones? If that is the case, technology deals with connections, IPs, Bluetooth, and then serial numbers. Without you having a connection with your child's phone, you can't monitor anything on their phone. So one way or the other, you have to still install a few things on their phone to, get to know what they are doing. And there are other ways you can monitor their phones, but that one is into details. It deals with a lot of software programming. That is why I'm saying we should, enlighten ourselves in technology. Although few people might not be able to, deal with the hard coding programming to, hide stuff from their child's phone and still monitor them. It might be hard for few parents. But then if that's the case, so far as your child has uninstalled the app you are using in monitoring your, the phone, you should know there's a problem where you have to deal with it. I mean, speak with your child, get close to your child, even with their friends, people they are close to, you should get to know them better and then know what they do like and what they do outside the home. These are the things. And also I would require that any sort of group your children are into, as in on WhatsApp, on Facebook, any sort of group they are into, you should know about it. Or you should have an external person who is, more cautious about things they do within the group to monitor these things. That is how you can also know how to monitor that. But with the technology part, without you not installing and monitoring, application on the phone, you cannot have access to control or to know what your child is doing with the phone.
All right, thank you very much, Prince. I see a question here. Is it possible to trace a hacker who hacks and uses your email address in bullying others, especially those on your contact address book? Is it possible to trace a hacker? I think that is hardcore technology stuff, isn't it, Chris?
That's what I earlier said, that if you are not proficient in using programming, programming hardcore
stuff for mothers and fathers.
Exactly. So basic stuff, as in you getting to know, would be very difficult, because this is where, you know, the person is using your email without your knowledge. Emails can be logged on multiple machines without you knowing, and then they have notification and, you know, two-pattern authentication log, where you can set it on. You can put it on in your privacy mode on your email, so that anybody else who logs onto your email, it will send you a notification message on your phone. You can go to your email privacy settings, go to your security, and then you will see a two-way authentication lock, where you can set it to your phone number, and anytime you log onto your mail, it will send you a message that someone has logged to your mail. Is it you or it's not you? And you have to accept from your phone directly before your email can be accessed. So that is what I will require you do. Go to your settings and put your two-way authentication on. That is how you can protect your email.
All right, thank you very much, Prince. I think at this time, I would allow participants to ask a few questions before we round up. Please, I would be interested in questions that are specific to the issue that we are discussing. We are looking at cyberbullying, how parents and educators can learn something out of it. So please let your questions be that specific. I see a hand. Ted.
Yeah.
Ted, go ahead and ask your question.
I wanna ask the lawyer about at what age of a child can we take their phone from them? Is it legal? I mean, what legal age? Because
all right.
Because she mentioned 18
your question
years.
Is clear now.
Because it says 18 years, but in Ghana, you know, 18, 19 is still a child, 20 is still a child. So, thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Ted. Madam Akova, please, can you respond quickly to that?
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Ted Agbe, legally, under the Act, the Cybersecurity Act of 2020, a child is a person who is 18 and below. So when a person crosses 18 years, you can engage your child. That person is no longer a child, but you can engage and educate them. For Ghanaians are becoming litigious, and after the age of 18 years, you may be amazed that that child can take you on. So we need to be careful how we deal with our children who are above 18 years. The person is your child. So I believe when you educate them and engage them, they should be able to reason with you. But below 18 years, you can regulate their use as the engineer has mentioned and given us the nitty-gritty of what we need to do. And then we go. But after 18 years, you can only educate and engage the child and let him reason with you. I believe that the psychologist would agree with me that when you engage the child without threatening words and you take them as your friend and talk with them, get closer to them, you should be able to control them in whatever they do. And they will reason with you. They will not rebel against your instruction or your suggestions. on this particular issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Akofa. I see a question here from Sarah Olete. Dr. Atta, is it possible to have a recorded session to share with our children and family for their education? Yes, it is possible. I think you can find it on YouTube. Just type in the title of today's program and you'll find it there. We are recording it, so we should be able to upload it over the weekend. So you can just type in the title of today's program and all other programs that we did last year. Just type in the title of them and you'll find it on YouTube. Yes, Ted, can you please lower your hand so that I know that you are done? Nene, please ask your question.
Okay, so mine is.
Nene, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me, please?
Please raise your voice a bit.
Okay, can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can.
Please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Please go ahead.
Okay, so mine is some way is coming in a way of a suggestion with talking about restrictions for students, mostly from using phones in our campuses. That is the SHS and then the JHS students. This is what I believe we can do. You know, with the internet, we can create their IP addresses. We can share internet with the students that they will use to learn, but we will restrict some websites from or being to be accessed on the platform. I think if we find those ways and means to do it, because the internet is good for learning. Our students can learn from the internet, and is going to help them in the long run. But we can restrict some websites from being used on the internet within the school premises. That alone, I think, can help. So instead of allowing other network service providers to come onto the internet to provide internet for the schools, we should rather decide to provide internet services ourselves as a nation to all schools that they can use to learn, they can use to study, and then we can have access to every IP address on the service, and we can use that to restrict them from accessing the websites that will promote all this kind of stuff that are not productive for to our students and then to ourselves as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nene. That is quite a good suggestion. It's been done elsewhere, so I think we can equally do that. On a larger scale, it's good. We have issues with regards to legislation and policy, but as the parents, the little that you can do in a corner is what we are looking here. Winfred, so Nana, please lower your hand, then I know that you are off. Winfred, I think that Winfred will be the last person to ask a question, then we can run it up now. Winfred, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. Please, I just want to thank you for this seminar, but I'm a student. I just want to find out if a certificate can be given to those of us who need it for our practical hours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Winfred, for your question. No, there is no certificate being issued for this seminar. This is a seminar open to the public. It's an educative seminar, all right, but we've not gone through that process of getting certificate for it. I mean, you are looking at CPD, but no, we've not gone through that process. So for now, acquire that knowledge. Knowledge is power, and when you have that power, at least you use it to help yourself. So yes, I would encourage you to join us at the end of every month because you'll acquire knowledge from it. For certificates, we have to go through, it's quite a process, but we've not gone to that bit yet. Thank you for your question. Okay, so I think that we've had quite an insightful discussion. I would allow my panelists to make their brief final comments, then we can end this program. So, Prince, your final comments before I come to Dr. May, then I come to Akofa. Then Prof will give his final comments and end the program for us. So, Prince, are you there?
Yes, please, I'm here.
Okay, your final
So my
comments.
final comments on, cyberbullying and technology using the tech, should be mindful and very concerned about whatever we post online. The internet doesn't expire. Anything you post online can never be deleted. So far as we delete it from your account, doesn't mean it's gone forever. It's still in there somewhere where we can retrieve. So we should be very mindful of whatever we post online. And also we should be concerned about our children's well-being. So far as technology is good and it improves, enhancement in our thinking of our kids, we should be also concerned about how we make them use them and the measures we have to take to build their technological wealth. So this is what I would say we should, be mindful and careful about. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Prince. May.
Yes, I just want to add that all bullies started out as children, and bullying behavior is noticeable from as early as 2. So how we deal with our children when we see them doing these things, we should remember that if we don't stop them, we think it's cute, and then they're trying to be best their friends. We should remember that they might grow up and continue bullying others. So we also have a big part to play on who our children turn out to be, whether they are going to be bullied if you haven't taught them to stand up for themselves, be resilient, or whether they are going to be bullies. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Akofa.
Yes, I would just want to advise that we should be very careful and concerned about sharing of images, videos, and audio materials, both on the internet and other social media platforms. For the National Cyber Authority is able to track wherever a video that is prohibited is being shared. And with the Ghana card, we are all aware that when your details are logged in, they can trace you to your home. They know everything about you. So please, let's stop sharing videos that are damaging to other personalities, videos that are propagating lies and truth about people, so that we are not caught in the books of the law. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Akofa. Prof, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Very well, very well. You have the last word and your concluding remarks as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. So we have said that cyberbullying is a reality these days. It's an unfortunate component or aspect of the digital world. So with the digitalization and the digital process in everything, computer, cyber space, everything, that is an unfortunate part of it. And we need to live with it as a reality. But then we need to recognize who can be a potential victim or who is a victim at any time and see how you can support that person. Also, we educate our youth not to engage in cyberbullying, because as you've just learned, you can be tracked and you can be punished. So having said that, I think we've all learned, it's been an exciting and interesting program. People are calling for more. Yes, we have various forms. It can't obviously be one topic throughout. It can be various topics, and we have been doing that for a year and more, and we will continue to do that. But of course, if at any time a particular topic is so exciting and we need a continuation, you can look at that and bring it up. A point was also made that can we get CPD out of it? Yes, a response was given that is for social knowledge, but I think we probably can build on that. So the point is well made. We will look at that and see how we can convert this into a CPD For those who simply need the knowledge and the knowledge alone, yes, they get it. But those who need the knowledge plus a certificate for various purposes, then that can be looked at. You'll look at that. On that note, I want to thank you very, very much for having cooperated, and the panelists. You've given exciting knowledge, insights, and experiences, and we are very grateful. I'm sure that I want to take the last word out of Dr. Arthur. I'm sure he will tell you that anytime we need you, I'm sure you'll be very willing to come. So on that note, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof, for your concluding remarks. For me, as the moderator, well, what I picked up, I need to improve on my technological knowledge. I need to relate well with the children at home, need to be more observant and understand that the cyberspace now has its negative issues that we need to deal with. And that makes me more observant about what is going on. So that is what I am thinking. On this note, I want to thank all our panelists. On behalf of Mental Health Authority, on behalf of the participants with us here, I wanted to thank you very much. I know the effort that you've put in to be able to present what you have presented today. Thank you very much. And to you two, our participants, thank you for coming. We always look forward to seeing you. The recording of this video, like I said earlier on, you would find it on YouTube through our Facebook page. Just type in Mental Health Authority. You'll find the link there. It will take you to the YouTube page. Another way is just to type in the title of the program and you would have it there. So thank you very much for joining us today. God willing, if you're in good health, you have all the energy, same time next month, same time next month, we'll have another exciting program. Today we had quite a lot of participants, which was refreshing to see. That tells us that it's a very good discussion that we are doing here. So thank you for being with us. Have a very nice weekend. Let's take good care of our mental health. Let's be supportive to each other. Acquire the knowledge that you need to be supportive and to help yourselves. Thank you very much. And the program has ended.